Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, August 3rd, 2014. This is episode 1106. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, home theater, digital photography, too. Our photo expert coming up next hour. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. I love to talk about technology. I've been doing this since 1991 on the radio. And so I've seen, what is that? Oh, my God. 23 years? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness gracious. A long time. I've seen a lot of things come and go over the years. And if anything, that's one thing I can add to the conversation is context. I've seen it all. And yet, we've only just begun. My friend Kevin Kelly, who was a longtime editor for Wired magazine, really great guy. Kevin worked on the Whole Earth catalog. If anybody has even more experience in all of this, it's Kevin. He's one of the great tech journalists. And he wrote an article this week on Medium called "You're Not Late." I think a lot of times people who get into technology now go, "Oh, I missed all the fun." Everything that was going to be invented has been invented. The internet's mature. He says, no, not even close. He says in 1994, actually, he starts the article, can you imagine how awesome it would have been to have been an entrepreneur in 1985 when almost any .com you name was available? You could have any .com. I actually was marketed. I decided to get out of radio in 1986. I was 30 years old, and I thought, this radio thing, this isn't going anywhere. And this tech stuff, I love it. I'd already been writing for computer magazines, writing my own software, and so I thought, this is the new, 86, this is the next big thing, right? Macintosh had been out for a couple of years. Windows was, I think, it was starting to emerge. I think it might have been Windows 1.0. But you could tell this is the coming thing. Hadn't really heard about the internet at that point. The World Wide Web hadn't been invented yet. The internet existed, but it was used mostly in universities, research institutions, things like that. And I went to work for a two-man startup that was specializing at the time in scientific computing and parallel computing. And I worked there as a third employee, director of marketing. Did it for about 3 months and realized, no, I went back to radio. But even then, it felt like, gosh, things are pretty far along. The IBM PC's been invented. The Mac's been invented. What more could happen? Oh, boy, a lot. And that's what Kelly points out. He says, in 1994... he did a presentation to the top floor executives at ABC, the big television network, about the future of digital. He said, you guys, you should get your smartest geek down in the basement to register abc.com because someday this internet's going to be huge. He said they didn't. And by the way, they still don't have it. All of ABC's programming is at go.com. The internet was a wide open frontier in 1994. But he says it's not. He says in terms of the internet, nothing has happened yet. The internet is still at the beginning of its beginning. If we could climb into a time machine, journey 30 years into the future from that vantage, look back to today, we'd realize most of the great products running the lives of citizens in 2044 were not invented until after 2014. Think about it. That's probably true, isn't it? And we can't even, in some ways, imagine what they might be. He says people in the future will look at their holodecks and their wearable virtual reality contact lenses, downloadable avatars, artificial intelligence interfaces, and say, you didn't really have the internet, or whatever they'll call it, back then. And they'd be right. So that's good news for anybody who feels like, maybe this whole thing passed me by. It's mature now. Everybody's online. There's nothing new under the sun. Oh, we're just beginning. If somebody like Kevin Kelly, who's a very astute observer, and I agree with him, says that, I think it's safe. It's also why we talk a lot about things like net neutrality, getting the cost of internet down, getting the speed up, because all these things need to happen for the internet to progress, to become the internet of the future that we hope it will be. Now, one thing that Kevin Kelly mentioned there, artificial intelligence, maybe something we want to kind of slow down on. How many movies have we seen about the machines that are smarter than us? Isn't that the premise of the Terminator? The machines take over the Earth and they send a Terminator back to prevent that. Isn't it the basis of the Matrix? The machines have won, they've taken over, and humans are just, is this a spoiler? I shouldn't say anything. If you haven't seen the Matrix, go see it. In fact, I remember going out of that movie with my eyes like wide, going, wow. 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 It could be, wow, we could be living in that Matrix right now. Elon Musk, you know who he is, the guy who created Tesla? Really forward-thinking guy. Brilliant guy. He says artificial intelligence could be more dangerous than nuclear bombs. And I've increasingly talking to people in this field who are worried that, in fact, these movie visions of machines that take over may not be so far-fetched. The problem is once machines get as smart as we are, we'll let them start designing themselves, and then it gets faster and faster and faster, much faster than we can even keep up. There's a guy, Ray Kurzweil, brilliant researcher in artificial intelligence, who's written many books on this. He calls it the singularity, the moment when computers are as smart as we are, indistinguishable from humans. And he says that's when things, boom, change suddenly and irrevocably in ways we cannot imagine. And that, he says, is in our lifetime. Is it? Well, maybe not in my lifetime, but in the next 30 or 40 years. In the next 30 or 40 years, he says that's going to happen. A lot of people think that. A lot of people are a little bit worried about those machines. I asked Ray, I said, I've seen the Terminator. Shouldn't we worry about those machines? He said, no, because we'll be like mom and dad to them. They'll honor their parents. Ray mustn't have had teenagers. I hope he's right. Something you might want to pay attention to. He says we should get to work thinking about this and protecting ourselves. We need to be super careful with artificial intelligence. And we need to build in protections. I talked to another scientist, Jeff Hawkins. He's a neuroscientist. He created graffiti, and then Palm was the founder of the Palm. Remember Palm? Remember them? He's taken all the money he made from Palm and put it into creating machines that are human-like, that think and work like our brains. He says it's not a problem as long as you don't let them replicate. Because once they start replicating, they'll replicate so fast we can't keep up, and they'll get smarter and smarter and smarter, and pretty soon we'll just be like ants to them. Just little bugs crawling on the earth. They might even want to just exterminate us just to get us out of the way. Maybe we're a slight annoyance. Yikes. So I do think we're in early days of all this. This is not a mature enterprise. Technology is brand new, and there's a lot of opportunities to influence it, to make sure it goes in the right direction, to make sure we have a fast and free and open internet, for instance, to make sure the machines don't get too smart for us, that we can maintain our control of them. But we do make these new, interesting, smart machines to help us. A lot of people are talking now about the idea that you might have a garage-sized device that could print anything. A car, artificial limbs. We're already doing that. There's a young man who's walking on a limb built by 3D printers today. The future's here. Let's talk about it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He started a handspring, too. I would love a hot beverage. Thank you very much, John.
Here's a super secret website building tip.
That's one of the fun things about the show. We do triangulation because I get to interview all. This is where I've interviewed most of these people. And it's really interesting talking to these brilliant scientists. We just had somebody on, though, James Barrett. Actually, it was John who suggested it, who said, we got to be really careful. We're heading into a world of intelligent machines that could really just kind of, we don't need you. Nanotech, that's another thing we've talked a lot about. That's already happening. We have micro-mechanical machines in many of our devices now. Oh, and then there's Radio Shack. That's a sad story, isn't it? You kind of see the writing on the wall, though, for any brick-and-mortar store. Oh, 1 month after announcing a loss of $98.4 million in 1 quarter, Radio Shack risks falling apart. Bloomberg reports Radio Shack is in desperate need of cash. Time is running out for Radio Shack. You know, we really tried to. They blew it. We could have saved them. We tried to get a massive sponsorship, I think 2 years ago with Radio Shack. And we said, look, you know, we want to save Radio Shack. You're the last store in many towns where you can get diodes, resistors. You can get maker stuff. You can get, you know, Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. We want to keep you alive. And what you need to do is you need to, and this what they did was, I think, the wrong direction. You need to talk to the geeks in our audience and remind them and say, you want to keep, you know, you need to keep a store in town that sells this stuff. So buy your soldering irons at Radio Shack, not at Amazon. And that if they'd had that strategy 3 or 4 years ago, maybe they could have saved themselves. Instead, they said, no, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sell phones and speakers and consumer goods. And the same thing happened to Tech TV. And it's what we did differently. We went geekier. Everybody else wants to go more general. Go geeky. We'll talk about it on Twit tonight, I'm sure. I'm going to bookmark that article for Twit. Yeah, they should have got the smart geeks in the community into to work at those stores. They should have got geeks coming in. They could have made them user groups. They really could have made them techno centers. They could have made them, you know, hacker zones and maker spaces, but they didn't. They blew it. You can't, yeah, and that's what Tech TV did too. They said, you know, there are not enough geeks to support this network, so we're going to go after the general public. But you can't do both, and you're going to lose one. It's the way of the world. But they could have, if they'd made the case to geeks and they, you know, started doing user groups. I think, well, you know, we could talk. This will be a good conversation. Maybe later we'll talk about this a little bit. Brick and mortar can survive, but it can't survive by doing the same thing Amazon's doing. It survives by providing better service, by providing community. And Radio Shack was in a perfect position to do that. Hacker Shacks are doing great. Maker spaces are doing great. They could have done it, but they didn't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my number. The website, you should know the website, is techguylabs.com. Just make a note of that. That's where you go if you hear me say something and you want to see the article or you want to find the software or whatever, you know, links to everything I talk about, notes from everything I talk about put up there. Thanks to James DeRuvo. He took the weekend off for Comic-Con. Was that last weekend? Yeah, but he's back in the saddle. And he's writing everything down. Hi, James. And then Josh Windish takes everything, massages it, puts the audio and the video from each show there. On our website, techguylabs.com, we divide, you know, it's divided by day, by show, by hour, and by question. So you can drill right down to where you want to go, read the question, read the answer, or listen or watch the question and answer, and then add your own comments. Techguylabs.com also links to our chat room, a lovely chat room full of geeky fellas and gals. It's about one gal for every 9 geeky fellas. TechGuyLabs.com. Kim Schaffer filling in for Heather Hammond, our phone ranger for the day. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well.
Good, good, good.
Are you a geek?
Sort of.
Little. I see you have a very nice cell phone. You have that HTC One.
I do, yeah.
That's the geek's cell phone.
I fancy myself a bit of a geek. I'm not a huge geek, though.
Normal people will go out and they'll buy an iPhone or they'll buy a Samsung because those are the big names.
I have a MacBook Pro, but I have an Android phone.
Yeah, see, that's good.
So
I'm shows
diversified.
Shows a little geekiness. Yeah. You ever been in a Radio Shack?
I have, and I was just listening to your story,
Yeah.
and it's sad because once in a while you just need to be able to run to the store and go get that cable or whatever, and instead of ordering it online and getting it a few days later.
We were talking in the break to the chat room about the kind of, it's not over yet, but Radio Shack last quarter lost almost $100 million. They are running short of cash, according to Bloomberg. And things look grim. And, of course, they're grim for a lot of brick-and-mortar stores. You know, people buy at Amazon. But I have to think if Radio Shack had, instead of gone more general appeal, mass appeal, and that's the temptation. We got to get more people in the door. Let's sell cell phones and, you know, remote-controlled vehicles, trucks, and speakers and stuff. If they had gone more geeky, I wonder how they would have done. If they had said, you know, what we really need to do is appeal to people who want to build stuff, who want to make stuff, who want to hack stuff, have user groups in the back, you know, because there does need to be a place, I think, in every community. And Radio Shack is it right now, where you could go and you could buy an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi and build your own computer, or buy components, or buy speakers or batteries. That's fine too. I just feel like if they had appealed to the hardcore geek community, things might be better. But that's true in general of brick and mortar. If you just try to do what Amazon does, you're gonna get slaughtered by Amazon. And in fact, Amazon now is challenged by a lot of other similar online entities. Have you ever shopped at Zulily, for instance?
I get the emails every day.
It's pretty cool.
But
See?
I've never actually purchased anything there.
Well,
I'm kind of old school, though. I like to go in the store and touch it and feel it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess with clothing and shoes, it kind of does make sense that you'd want to.
And I'm a weird size, too, so I need to try it on because I don't want to have to send it back.
Yeah. I guess there are a few items. But you know what is important is that store, and it's true of bookstores, too, if they want to succeed in a world where people buy online, they've got to provide you with great service. It has to be easy to find what you want. They have to have service personnel, clerks that know this stuff, that can help you. And, you know, if Radio Shack did that, a bookstore did that. We still have an independent bookstore just down the street, which is amazing. Many communities no longer, can you believe this, no longer have bookstores. But they stay in business because they have authors come in every weekend. They have knowledgeable clerks who will help you find a book, whether it's a gift or for yourself. I think that's where you're going to succeed. If you have to give a level of service that Amazon can't give, personal service. And if you're a shoe or clothing store, yes, I still buy my clothes at a little store around the corner because the guy knows me. He knows my size. He knows what I like. He'll say, "Oh, Leo, you should look at this. I think you'd like this. This just came in."
He's your own personal shopper.
Yeah, you need to do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that's good for the job creation in this economy because we don't have a lot of industrial work anymore. But at least you can, you know, if you're a good service person, if you're good with people, there's always an opportunity. Speaking of people, who should I talk to? We got lots of calls.
We got Mark in Ontario, Canada, and he needs a recommendation for a good desktop hard drive.
All right. Thank you, Kim Schaffer. Mark, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Welcome.
Hi, Leo. Mark here. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you.
I'd like to give the nod first to one of your sponsors, Harry's. I learned about them through your show, and they have an amazing shaving kit. So thanks for...
It does change your attitude toward shaving. This is an example of where online has done pretty well. It's not just Harry's. There are a couple of other companies that sell razor blades cheap or cheaper than the store, and they come in the mail. Harry's is, though, focused on a better shave, aren't they? Whereas some of the other guys are not. Harry's says, look, and I think that you need to do that. So you got to give them something. I shaved with Harry's this morning, and that's a good, clean shave. You're right. You're right. What can I do for you?
Hey, I have two questions for you. The first one is regarding hard drives. I have a 500 gigabyte hard drive that it's about to fill up, and I'm looking for a 2 terabyte drive, which I also need to use as my daily desktop drive. I'm not looking for the fastest drive, but something that's very reliable. Anything that you can recommend in that?
Hard drives have become commoditized. You know what I mean when I say commoditized? Like pork bellies or soybeans. There's not a brand of soybeans or a brand of pork bellies. They're all the same. And the technology, once technology becomes mature and kind of well-known, becomes commoditized too. Routers are kind of commoditized. You know brand names. It's all kind of the same. And hard drives really are commoditized. If you look at your computer, your laptop, you probably don't even know who makes the hard drive inside. Having said that, those of us who buy hard drives instead of buying computers, buy the part. We buy a lot of hard drives here for our servers, tend to go with Western Digital.
I was actually looking at Western Digital, and when I look at what they have, they seem to have color-coded their products. They have the blacks, the blues, the reds.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the reds, which they're selling as NAS drives, would make good desktop drives.
Probably not. A NAS drive is all about not speed, but just continuous. It's always on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the reds tend to be great at always being on. There's, the black is more expensive and faster. I'm trying to remember what the different colors. I wish there were.
There's also the blue and the green one.
Yeah.
I have a green one, which I use as a backup drive.
And green is a low power, as you would expect, right?
That's correct, and it's slow as well. So I wanted to have something.
Well, let's hang on, and we got to take a break. When we come back, let's talk a little more about this speed of hard drive versus reliability. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's kind of funny. It's somewhat complicated. So the blue is everyday computing, right? Speed, performance, and reliability for everyday computing. There's 7,200 RPM. Some of this is revolutions per minute. Of course, faster is better. The green are cool, quiet, and eco-friendly. Those they say are IntelliPower, which means they're slower, probably. The Caviar is the one I always buy because they're high speed, although they're not 10,000 RPM. They're 7,200. You can get the Raptor. I don't know if they still make the Raptor. That was 10,000 RPM. And then the blue is for laptops. Scorpio blue. And then the Scorpio black is for high-performance laptops. Isn't that crazy? And then the enterprise storage, which are colloquially the reds. Although I guess Western Digital doesn't call them reds. And there's the Velociraptor. That's the 10,000 RPM. Actually, this is 4 years old. I wonder if I can find something newer. That's pretty old. Yeah. I think Western Digital's smart. This is how you overcome commoditization, right? Here, we'll look at the actual WD site. Well, this doesn't really describe the differences. You got your blue, which is everyday storage, your green, which is capacity storage, your black, which is performance storage, your red is the NAS storage, or the REs. Your Velociraptor, which is what I always bought. It's all about speed. None of them are they going to say, well, this is less reliable. You understand that? They may be, but they're never going to say that. Blue is cheap and slow. Green is low power. Black is performance spinning. Actually, they have black SSDs. So. Oh, that's a Fusion style. It's SSD and spinning. There's your Red Pro, which gives you more support. Good Lord. I used to buy only Raptors, Velociraptors. They call them Velociraptors now. Purple I've not seen. Sounds like a red and blue mix, right? Right, it's a hybrid. So the Reds, Mike Gorin says, I have the Reds on my desktop. They work fantastic. They have very high read and write speeds, but they run cooler and they last longer. So Reds might be a good choice, huh? Seagate Barracuda. Bing. Why do I always think that when I hear Barracuda? There's AV ones too, yeah. Red has a 5-year warranty. That's probably good, yeah. I used to buy Desk Stars, yep. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking with Mark about hard drives. And I don't know. You hear, I think the differences between drives are small. The differences between solid state drives and spinning drives is huge. But among spinning drives, it's small. There's a few things to look at. Rotation speed, capacity, price per gigabyte, of course. Warranty's pretty important, too. And the warranty on a drive that you buy in the store will tell you a little bit about what the company expects in terms of reliability for those drives. You mentioned the red. Right. So Western Digital has, I actually had to look it up. There's so many colors. And the green is eco-friendly, which probably means slower. The reds are designed for fast throughput. In fact, one of our chatters, Meguro, says he uses reds in his desktop because they're fast and cool and reliable. But I bet you they're slower speed. I bet they're 52. So there's 3 different typical spinning speeds. And by the way, now that we have commonly used SSDs in many computers, this matters a lot less. Faster spinning is a little faster. The slowest, the laptop drives are 5,400 RPM. The typical desktop drive is 7,200 RPM. And then if you want a really high-performance drive, and this is what I usually buy, I buy the Velociraptors. When I don't buy spinning drives anymore, but when I bought spinning drives, those are 10,000 RPM. And, you know, they probably don't make that much difference in speed. SSD makes such a difference, but the capacities tend to be lower because the price per gigabyte is so much higher. That's starting to change. I don't recommend the hybrid drives that have a little bit of SSD and a little bit of spinning storage. My friend Alan Malventano, who's an expert on SSDs and writes for PC Perspective at PCPer.com, has had very poor results in terms of benchmarks for the hybrids. It's the worst of both worlds, not the best of both worlds. So I don't know what I would recommend. I mean, Mark, is speed important to you?
Not so much. For me, it's really more of reliability. It's a data drive for me. And like I said, I do have an SSD that I use as my boot drive.
Perfect.
As the application drive.
That's exactly what you should do. So then and this is what I recommend. 128 gigabyte SSD. That's where your Windows is, where your apps are, and then you put your documents, the big data, on a slower spinning drive, a terabyte or 2 spinning drive. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Now, if you look at different reporters, people who buy a lot of drives, Backblaze, according to a Gummed Up Bear in our chat room, says Backblaze buys a lot of drives. They're a backup company. If the price were right, we'd be buying nothing but Hitachi drives. The problem is that they tend to be more expensive. I think Western Digital bought Hitachi, did they not? So, but I think you can get them as Hitachi brand. They've been rock solid, have a remarkably low failure rate. My problem is that this changes from time to time. Western Digital had a problem with firmware for a while that caused some issues. I mean, I don't know if it's commodity in the sense that they're all kind of good and all kind of bad. So I don't know what I would recommend. You notice probably already if you ask 5 different geeks, you'll get 5 different answers.
That is true, yeah. And when I look at Amazon as well, it's like the ratings were kind of all over the place. Yeah.
We'll put a link in the show notes to this article from Backblaze. It came out in January. What hard drive should I buy? That, if you're going to trust somebody, don't trust a guy who buys a drive every few years, because any drive can go bad. Trust a company that buys hundreds of drives a day. And they have an article in which they do say they prefer Hitachi over Western Digital and Seagate. But then, I've used all of them. I don't know if there's that much difference, but they say at the end of 2013, we had 27,000 consumer-grade drives spinning in Backblaze storage pods. About half of them were Seagate, half of them Hitachi, a small number Western Digital, and a very small number Toshiba and Samsung. And part of the problem with that is that they don't have enough Western Digital, not as many, so they're not as reliable. They used to buy Western Digital. Looks like now they're buying mostly Seagate drives. So they measured failure rates. The annual failure rate is fairly high for the Seagates, is lowest for the Hitachi, if that's an important thing. I mean, what is important is another issue. Speed, reliability, power usage, heat generation. All of these are issues as well. So I don't know if I have a right answer for you.
All right.
I buy Western Digital. We buy for our storage area networks, for our computers, our editors. It's all Western Digital.
All right, that sounds good.
And I think we buy. What do we buy, John? Is it the blacks, or is it the blues? I can't even remember which one. Do you remember, John, off the top of your head? What does Russell buy, or does he just buy whatever's cheapest that week?
It's the enterprise grade.
The enterprise grades for the servers. Yeah, we need to because they have to be rated for the servers. They won't be accepted. Good luck. I think if you can use a solid state drive, just as Mark did for your boot up, boy, that makes a difference. That is the biggest difference in hard drive technology in the last 10 years. Solid state. Jason is on the line from New Jersey. Hi, Jason. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. First time, long time.
Nice to talk to you, and I appreciate it. Glad you're calling. What can I do for you?
I had a curious question about Windows tablets.
Okay.
I know you're pushing an Android or a iPad. I've got an old Android that I stopped using just because it became so laggy. And, I was using it instead of my laptop for a while. My laptop's at this point 9 years old. So I know it's time to replace that. And I'm just curious, what of these Windows tablets do you recommend?
Well,
I'm a gamer, so I use it.
Yeah, okay. So there's two kinds of Windows. There's Windows RT, and there's...
I know enough to avoid RT.
Yeah, there's actual Windows. And Microsoft kind of muddied the waters. They really have three different operating systems: Windows Phone, Windows RT, and Windows Pro or Windows 8. And they're despite the fact they all say Windows and they all look exactly the same, if you lined them up, they don't run the same software. So I think a lot of people think that RT may be on its way out and replace.
I believe that also.
Yeah, that's designed for an ARM processor, but so is Windows Phone, and I think it would make sense for Windows Phone to become the dominant ARM version of Windows. So you're going to get Windows 8 Pro or 8.1 Pro. I think the Surface is a very good choice if you can afford it. Can you spend $600?
I can spend $600, but I'm looking. I don't really need it to game. I've got a desktop that I built 5 years ago that serves me quite well.
Oh, so what do you want to use your tablet for?
For me, it's I need to run the Windows programs, but it's more that it's that I also want it, browsing, email, like gaming, but I just don't want another Android.
Yeah, and by the way, the laggy part of Android seems to happen a lot, and I think that the newest version of Android, KitKat, has trim in it, which means that the solid-state storage might become less laggy. I noticed that happened with my first-generation Nexus 7 as soon as I upgraded. Actually, I think it was Jelly Bean that changed that. But so you might try upgrading or updating your old Android tablet just to see if it gets less laggy.
It's too old.
Too old. Yeah, there you go.
You're
stuck.
First-gen transformer.
Yeah. I think the Asuses are still good. Asus makes very nice Windows tablets. Do you want an 8-inch tablet?
That's the part I'm not sure about because I was looking at like the Venue Pro. I like that, but I also like some of these 10 inches. I like that I can do it the HDMI out on some of them. That's why I was looking for your recommendation.
In the 8-inch, Paul Thurrott, our Windows expert, the guy who hosts our Windows Weekly show, writes the blog, the Windows Supersite blog. He loves his Dell Venue 8 and thinks it's great. So if you're willing to go that small, the Venue 8, the best screen in Windows right now is the Surface Pro. If you want to go larger, I think the Surface Pro is the way to go. The Surface Pro 3 is the one I'd recommend. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The nice thing about the Pro is the 3:2 aspect ratio. It really seems to be a very natural. Even though it's 12 inches, it feels like it's bigger. So these
if
are the
you're
ones
running
we
a
buy?
small business, you can't operate at anything like
These were Hitachi when we started buying them.
They're desk stars, yeah.
These are the ones we get for the TriCaster.
Okay.
That we are archiving. About one every 2 months comes out of the TriCaster.
So speed's not important to us, or they're 7,200 RPM.
Russell picked these out as a compromise.
I would agree with him. I like these. Yeah, these are
We have no problems with them.
the Hitachi Desk Star. They're also from Western Digital.
Well, they used to be, when we started doing it, they were Hitachi.
Right. Now they don't say Hitachi, they say
And there
HGST.
was that time when there was the bad weather in Thailand.
Right, and you couldn't get them, right?
And the price went up to
Right.
$250. It went up to
Right.
the list.
So this is $120 for 2 terabytes, which is amazing.
Yeah.
God, the prices.
Yeah. So
These are really incredible.
Every 2 months we put one of those.
So these are what's in the TriCaster, which is a fairly, rigorous environment. I mean, it's running all the time. They're hot. They record constantly to the hard drive. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we get that, and I trust Russell. He installs enough hard drives that he probably knows.
Are you ready for lunch?
Is it already that time? My
Well,
God.
we can get it later.
No, I'm hungry.
Feel.
Well, let's have a nice salad today.
That's easy.
Be good. I'm going to be good. Because you know why? I went to the fair and I had a corn dog, half of Lisa's funnel cake, a few mini donuts, and a candy apple for dinner. So
Healthy. Fair food.
fair food. It's really interesting. I noticed this yesterday. That when we said we're going to the fair, so Michael, the 11-year-old, it's all about the rides. Lisa,
Yep.
too, it's all about the rides. Me, it's all about the food.
Oh, I love the rides.
Any healthy person, it'd be about the rides.
The rides
but me,
and the concerts.
Oh, and the concerts. Yeah, Lisa likes the concerts.
Yeah.
Her
The food
favorite
I stay
concert
away
she's
from.
seen in the last 5 years was Night Ranger at the Petaluma Fair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, she still raves about that. We've seen Madonna. We've seen Beyonce. We've seen some of the best bands in the world. But no, Night Ranger at the fairgrounds. That was, yep, we've seen The Wall. We've seen Roger Waters.
I
Twice.
fancy myself a bit of a country girl, and the best concert I saw up there was Kenny Chesney when he first got started.
I love Kenny Chesney.
And he just was so excited. I saw him pulling up in his bus. He was, bright-eyed. And,
I really like him.
and it was free at the time. Now they charge you about $50-$60 to go see a
Really?
concert at the
fair?
Yeah, if
Well,
it's a
that
big headliner.
Stinks.
So
That stinks. Yeah. No, that was fun.
I haven't been to the Sonoma County Fair in a long time.
This is the big fair. We have the little one here in Petaluma, the Sonoma Marin Fair, which is neither Sonoma nor Marin. And San Rafael County has a very nice county
That's the one
fair.
I go to
Yeah,
every
that's a
year.
good
I saw
fair.
Huey Lewis this year.
Yeah, that's an excellent fair.
Yeah.
But, Santa Rosa's fun. The fairground's up there. And, man, do they have the junk food. Holy cow.
I got a lot of food.
I think I have some pictures from the fair. Let me see. Lisa rode the zipper. I don't ride rides.
I used to ride them,
not-
but now the ones that get put up and taken down make me a little
they
nervous.
They make me nervous, yeah. They
Happens
make
in
me
old
really
age.
nervous. So, let's see. Here's the garlic booth.
Garlic. Garlic.
It was like garlic chicken booth.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. Here, Michael and his friend Aiden. There's the fairway. Now, okay, here's a question. They claim this ride came from Michael Jackson's Neverland.
Oh, yes. I remember the last time I was at the Sonoma County Fair, that ride was there, and there was
Yeah.
a big plaque that said
Yes.
it was
They have 3 rides from
Yeah.
Neverland. Is that true?
why would they lie?
Well, that's what Lisa said. Why would you want to make that up? Little Kenny Chesney for you there. For our little island girl, Kim Schaffer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Is it Jammin in Sacramento? Janine?
Jamin.
Janin. All right, close. Hey, Janin.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I have a question for you about a future career.
All righty.
So I'm 30 and I'm thinking about maybe making a career change, and just with technology nowadays, feel like that might be a good direction to go into.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of wondering what your opinion were or thoughts on
the next maybe 15, 20 years, what are some good, directions that you think?
Well, I would definitely get into the artificial intelligence robot thing. Actually, I'm fairly sincere on that. I do think that is a very exciting area. Biotech is also about to explode. And the human-machine interface via biotech. Virtual reality, I think, is about to explode. Speech recognition is about to explode. It's pretty obvious that app development is where people are making money right now. $6 billion for WhatsApp, right? So if you were a kid coming out of college today, I'd say it would really be good to learn to code. Software, hardware is fairly mature right now, but the software isn't. And there's huge opportunities in software. But that doesn't mean there won't be big innovations in hardware going forward. So it really depends on your time frame. When you give me 15 years, it's hard to predict. 15 years ago, would we have known that mobile computing was going to completely take over? I think we might have, but I remember there's a video somewhere of me holding up a Newton. So this would have been, what, 95, 94, holding up a Newton saying, someday, this was 10 years ago, someday you'll have this, it'll be small, it'll be in your pocket, it'll always be on the internet. So it is possible to kind of look ahead and see how trends will combine and give us something we want. I really feel that robotics, voice recognition, speech, virtual reality, these are areas that are very exciting. Biotech, very exciting. The idea of nanotechnology, very exciting. So there's a lot of areas. I don't know which of those is going to take off. What I didn't say back 10 years ago when I said, oh, these little portable things will be the thing, and I didn't know at the time, is that the world would all be about apps. That would have at the time seemed to me going backwards. In the earliest days of computing, the aesthetic was you write an app that does one thing beautifully, and then you make it possible for apps to communicate with one another. That's the philosophy of Unix, the hacker operating system written in the 70s. Just no program should do too many things. But as time went by and we got desktop computers, personal computers, people did, in fact, try to put everything but the kitchen sink into programs. And that seemed to be the dominant trend. Now, I think we've learned that was a bad way to go. We've got bloated, overgrown software that no one knows how to use. And you look at programs like Microsoft Word as an example, and you just figure that doesn't have, that going forward is not the future. And in fact, apps have been the future. But it's hard to predict those kinds of things. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have known mobile app development was the next big thing. No one would have. So, if you're saying what's going to be big in 15 years, that's a lifetime in technology. But those areas are clearly frontiers where we're making progress, but we haven't yet had breakthroughs. I guess that's my criterion for all of this. What's an area where people want it? We're starting to make some progress, but the breakthroughs haven't happened yet. That would be a fruitful area to work in, wouldn't it? Oh, yeah. Somebody's mentioning battery technology. That's something, that I don't think I would base a career around battery technology. But if you're out there and you're a material scientist, I bet you that many of your colleagues, maybe even you, are working on this. They've come up apparently with a new lithium technology. Most of our batteries today are lithium-ion batteries. They've come up with a new lithium technology in the labs that promises incredible battery life, much improved battery life, but we're 4 or 5 years out on that. That would be something that would change everything. And that's driven by mobility, isn't it? Because, and you probably wouldn't have thought about that 15 years ago because desktops were plugged into the wall. They were there. Laptops were starting to take off, but we didn't really understand exactly what we were going to need 15 years from now. I'll tell you one technology I would not get into. You've probably seen the articles, many of them breathless, about scientists in NASA inventing a new form of propulsion that violates the laws of physics. So, this was a scam that was conceived maybe a decade ago. It's very much like, how can we use water for gasoline? And these things come and go all the time. And this propulsion system involved creating microwave resonances inside a container, and somehow, magically, you would get force coming out of the container, and you could use that to move a rocket ship. And NASA's just added fuel to the fire because they've now just reported a result that did show that despite the fact that this violates fundamental basic Newtonian physics, they have this microwave engine. It's working. It's producing an infinitely small bit of propulsion. And I want to go on record right now saying that's bogus. That's an error in measurement. There is no such thing as an engine that violates Newtonian physics. I'm sorry, that ain't gonna happen. In fact, add to that, we've got to learn critical thinking. This is why this is why critical thinking is to be taught in schools. Add to that the story that came out, I think it was on Friday, when Facebook was down, that people were calling 911, saying Facebook is down, and it was picked up by everybody. Because it's such a juicy story, based solely on the tweet from a Los Angeles County Sheriff Sergeant named Burton Brink. He tweeted, Facebook is not a law enforcement issue. Please don't call us about it being down. We don't know when Facebook will be back up. Now, I think Sergeant Brink, who was not even on duty when he tweeted this, was making a joke. But it was picked up by every major news source. Ha ha, people are so stupid they call 911 when Facebook is down. We just love that story. Unfortunately, Sergeant Brink decided he liked the notoriety. He started giving interviews. Now he's being investigated by the LA sheriffs, who say, we didn't get any calls like that. He made it up. So you got to put your thinking cap on, my friends. Put your thinking cap on. And I've been wrong. I admit it. I said Apple would not buy Beats. I was wrong, and I should have been right. Apple made a huge error. But sometimes I'm wrong. Maybe there is such a thing as microwave propulsion that violates classic Newtonian physics, but I doubt it. And it probably is true that every once in a while 911 gets a call like that. Facebook's down, but I doubt it. I doubt it in this case. 8888 Ask Leo is the number. We're going to take a break. When we come back, your local news. When we come back, more of your calls. 888-827-5536. The website, techguylabs.com. Ba-ba-da-ba-bum. Ba-bum.
I bet productivity went up in the workplace when Facebook went down for those 20 minutes.
It's wild when Facebook goes down.
It is. I was trying to get on, and I went, something's wrong.
I think, frankly, Facebook is so horrible. I went on it this morning, and it just depressing. It's like you read it, and you go, oh, God, life is horrible. This is the OnePlus One. Which is yeah, absolutely my favorite phone, especially at the price, my favorite phone out there right now. If the price were the same, I'd say the M8 might still be a better choice, but because this is a little bit, it's 5.5 inches, but boy, it's nice, and I love cyanogen mod. I'm running Apex instead of the Trebuchet launcher that they ship with. I like Apex, but it doesn't matter. Really nice. Oh yeah, I always load my phones up. Burden them. Yeah, that's why I don't talk about the OnePlus One much, because you can't get it. It's the best phone you can't get. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, home theater, smartphones, digital photography, all that jazz. Our digital camera guy, Chris Marquardt, joins us in half an hour to talk about digital photography. 8888 Ask Leo, that's my phone number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Our website is techguylabs.com. Give us a ring. We'll get you on the show. Talk about high tech like Ron from Boise, Idaho. Hello, Ron.
Hello. Leo, help.
Oh, my. I've never heard anybody ask me for help before.
I have a Samsung S3.
Yeah?
It was working fine. Then one day it decided to stop recognizing my micro cards. I had a 32 and a 64 gigabyte. I tested these cards at my desktop, and desktop read them fine.
Okay.
So then
Had they ever been used on that phone?
Yes.
Okay.
I left them there.
Yeah. So the phone was recognizing them. All of a sudden it stops. However, the cards are still good because you can look at them on the desktop.
Yes.
Well, I think it's the phone. You've narrowed it down quite effectively. Nice job.
Well, what I did was I cleaned the cards with acetone, and then I used a dielectric grease. And then that Samsung, doesn't like me anymore. And
wait a minute. Okay, cleaning the contacts is okay as long as there's no acetone left when you put it in, but it evaporates quickly, so you're probably fine. The dielectric grease worries me a little bit because that might kind of seep around the contacts and get on the motherboard, and who knows what could happen there.
Well, I tried to put a real thin coat because I've been using it for years, and it's desperation.
Yeah, except that you have a phone that doesn't work at all.
Well, no, the phone works. I mean, as it should. It does it.
Oh, it didn't break the phone? Oh, good. All right. I was under the impression that maybe that broke the phone. You still can't get it to read the cards, though.
Yes, I've got my cartoons on my micro card. I can't.
Well, it's good news you can read the card on your computer so you can get your data off of it, right?
Yes.
But I think this phone is, the S3 is how old now? 3-4 years old?
Oh, something like that.
Yeah. So we have a little, there's a metric we use in dog years. Dogs age for every year a dog ages at 7 human years, right? So a 1-year-old dog is 7, a 2-year-old dog is 14. In computers, it's 15 years per human year. I think smartphones, I'm thinking it's 30 years. I think a 2-year-old smartphone, 60, not dead yet. I'm almost 60. Not dead yet. Maybe has some life in it. 3-year-old, now you're 90. 4 years old, 120. I think that's kind of about the metric. I just made it up on the spur of the moment, but it sounds about right. In other words, a 4-year-old smartphone, it's really time to replace it. The good news is we're now up to the Galaxy S5. There's a lot of great phones out there, inexpensive phones. I think it's time to replace it because probably what's gone on is that the circuitry connected to the SD card slot is shot. If you really wanted to try to resurrect it, you might try clearing the phone. If you go to the settings, you can reset the phone under backup and reset and wipe everything off and start over as if it came from the factory. It's not a bad idea after a few years to do that anyway. If you are using your Google account to back up your data and your apps, it's a fairly painless thing to do too. You reset the phone and log onto your Google account. It will almost immediately start reinstalling apps. And there's even a checkbox. I'm not sure. Your version of Android isn't very recent unless you've kept it up to date. So it may be that you don't have this checkbox, but there's a checkbox on more recent versions of Android that say not only back up the data, but back up the applications, but back up the application data as well. So you really won't lose anything if you've been doing that. If you haven't, then you have to go through the setup again. It's not the end of the world. That's a good idea anyway, just to refresh the phone. Before you install the apps, in fact, before you even log into your Google account, I would put those SD cards in and see if you can see them. Maybe format, what I would probably do is copy the data off the cards onto your computer, then put them in the S3 and format them. If you look in the storage section of the settings, you'll see that you can look at the SD card and you can reformat it. Reformat it, you still can't read it, then now we know it's the circuitry on the phone that you're never again going to be able to read an SD card. These are not repairable. Companies don't make these devices to get repaired. They make them to be thrown away, sad to say. So there's a few more steps I guess you could take. You've taken some pretty good ones to validate what's going on. It sure sounds like it's the phone. Once you've copied the data off those SD cards, you might try formatting them just to see if you can make them readable again, but my guess is not. Good news, though, this is a great time to be buying a smartphone. So many good models on the market. It's so affordable. The phone I'm using now, I love. I hesitate even talking about it because the price is great, but you can't get it without an invitation. which is, if you go to OnePlus, OnePlus.net, you'll see their new OnePlus One phone. OnePlus is the company. The phone's name is One. It is 5.5 inches. It is state-of-the-art. You know, it's quad-core 801 processors. That's the latest Snapdragon processors. 3 gigs of RAM, 1080p screen, gorgeous 5.5-inch 1080p screen. It doesn't come with any cruft on it because it's got a version of Android called CyanogenMod, which many people think is better than Google's Android. It's fabulous. It is a gorgeous phone, 13-megapixel camera. I'm getting great images with it. And here's the kicker. 16-gigabyte version's $300. 64-gigabyte versions, $350. It's half any other flagship phone. And in every respect's great. But whether it's because they're selling it below cost or they just can't make it fast enough because the demand's so high, I don't know. But you cannot just go and buy it. You have to get an invitation or play a game or play a contest to get this phone. But boy, is it a nice phone. This will beat your S3 in 800 different ways. No SD cards on this, by the way. But with 64 gigs internal, I think that's fine. That's an awful lot of storage nowadays. But there's the Galaxy S4, there's the Galaxy S5. You could even get an inexpensive Galaxy S3 that's brand new. It should be free from your carrier. HTC One, the current version, the M8. Wonderful phone, love it. There's so many good choices out there. And, of course, in September, we think September 16th now, we'll see a new iPhone. We'll at least see the announcement of a new iPhone. That might be very compelling, too. It's just the LG G3. It's a fabulous phone. That's available in Verizon and maybe other carriers, maybe everybody now. Excellent phone. The Galaxy Note 4 is coming out any minute now, next few weeks. Boy, you can't get a better deal. But if you want to buy another S3, if you really like it, and what was a good phone, it's 97 cents right now from AT&T and Verizon. So for $1 and that 2-year commitment, you can get another one. 8888 ask Leo, phones really are like commodity products now. I was talking about commodities last hour. There's definite differences between phones, so maybe that's not the fair thing to say, but there certainly are many, many excellent choices. You really can get the one that suits you the best. I don't think there's any one best phone. Mike in Mission Viejo, California. You're next. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, real good. I got my new LG 3 phone a couple days ago.
Oh, you got the G3?
Yeah, I tell you what, that thing is unbelievable. I traded in a 2, and you were talking about the screen on it. It's better than my widescreen TV. It is so unbelievably clear.
It's Ultra HD. It's the first Ultra HD phone. Although I think at that resolution, you're so high resolution, I don't know. You can't get any better. Let's put it that way. Hey, hang on, because I'd like to know more. In fact, I want to know specifically about the laser focusing on the camera. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's got lasers. So I'll show you some images. Actually, this is video from the...
If you're running a small business, you can't operate at anything less than full speed.
More of my patented vertical video. This Lisa's on the big zipper. She's on this one right here. Oh, no, this one. You can tell because she's spinning it around like crazy. Oh, man. I don't think those are her screams. These are night shots. This is late at night. This is an HDR from it. But it's dark out. The only light's coming from the zipper. There she is getting her feet jiggled. This was inside. You know, they have the floral competition.
The gardens.
Yeah. The fair theme this year was love, peace, and fair, I think. So this is a hippie garden. I love this garden. I did a variety of different shots just to see.
It doesn't look real.
It doesn't, does it?
No.
The sitar and the jug wine.
Jug wine.
That's a good
Hey,
camera.
we're
You
in
can
the
take
heart
off?
of Sonoma County.
Good luck. It's so nice to meet you. Congratulations. That's awesome. Have a great time. See you around. I think it's a great phone. The camera on this was excellent.
I clicked on the thing and to buy, and it said, you need an invite. Please sign up.
Yeah, the price is so good. I mean, for this price, it's an amazing phone. I haven't had it that long, so I don't know, you know, about reliability and stuff. But fair is always a good place to testify. Here's Lisa getting off after being agitated in the big zipper. Can't believe this thing. It's like, basically, it's like a gem tumbler. She loved it. Look at her. Look at her. She's so crazy. Fun. She's crazy.
It's an awesome ride.
Insane.
And, you know, sometimes when you get in the zipper, the carnies will start flipping you.
Yeah.
Before you even move, they'll just flip you around and around and around.
Fortunately, at this fair, they prevent drug abuse, so those carnies are not as bad as.
No, but that's by request, yeah.
Lisa gets in the thing and starts to flip it.
Exactly.
She starts to get it going before they even go. Terrible thing. They shouldn't allow that ride. Anyway, I was pretty happy with the camera on this. Had a lot of fun at the fair.
Please do not feed the zombies.
That was good advice. Good advice. I was trying different colors, you know, deep colors. It does a pretty good job. There is carny quality control. So I'm trying to find out. I figure, again, I'm very cynical now. I've started to become cynical that they could just be lying. They could. These may not be from Michael Jackson's Neverland. How would we even know?
I don't see the reason for lying. I mean, I guess to make money, but.
Well, Lisa pointed out that may not be a positive, right?
Yeah, I would think most parents wouldn't want their kids to go on that ride.
Right. See, Butler Amusements claims they bought it. This is a different company. I think every carny company claims they bought the rides. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking to Mike in Mission Viejo, and I wanted to get a little more on his brand new phone, the LG G3. This is one of those flagship phones. We call the top-of-the-line phones flagship phones. And the G3 absolutely is. With its Ultra HD display, it's the highest resolution phone on the market, the highest dots per inch. It leaves Apple's Retina display in the dust. So what do you think of it? Do you like it? How about that laser focusing? Do you notice a difference in the camera?
It's unbelievable. I'm still trying to get used to it, but the couple of pictures I took, they're incredible. I guess it's like 13 pixel megapixels.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 13 megapixels, which is kind of the standard now. The Galaxy S4, S5, you know, most of the top-of-the-line Android phones now have that. The weird one is the HTC One, which is only 4 megapixels, but they claim that's better for a variety of reasons. So, what do you? So overall, you're very happy. The only thing that's weird about this phone, the buttons in the back, you getting used to that?
Yeah, because I had the 2, and it's basically the same as the 2.
So you've always had the buttons in the back.
Right, but there's a couple of nice features. There's a calorie meter. It's like a workout meter that's built into the phone. So as you're walking, it's showing how many steps you've taken and how many calories you burn.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Most of the phones do that now because they all have accelerometers. And so it's easy for them to measure steps. So the Galaxy S5 does that. The HTC One M8 does that. If you put Fitbit on many of the newer phones, the Fitbit app, they'll just do it. So I know I like that. I mean, that way you don't have to wear a fitness band. It's, you know, if the phone's in your pocket all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of questions about the phone, though. I was a little upset with the guy I got it from because, I'm not used to this cloud and backup and stuff, and I have a Google account, and he said, oh, yeah, you saved all your contacts and all your pictures. So I turned the phone in. They gave me about $100 for my tooth. And so when I got home, he says, oh, yeah, just plug it into Wi-Fi and everything will come over. Well, nothing came over.
Well, that's not his fault. It normally does. I wouldn't blame him. He's right. That's the normal thing. But there are a few little things, you got to cross the T's and dot the I's. For instance, on your old phone, I know it's too late. You don't have it anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah, on your old phone, I don't know how old the Android was on that, and that may be a part of the problem as well. But on more recent versions of Android, if you go into the settings and you select the backup and reset settings, there's a checkbox that says backup my phone to Google. And I'm going to look at mine right now, and I'll tell you the more recent ones say not only backup applications, and they re-download the applications, but they back up the names of the applications. But it says backup my app data, Wi-Fi passwords, and other settings to Google servers. That has to be checked. And then automatic restore has to be checked when installing an app, restore backed up settings and data. But if you've done that, it seems to be in most cases it will automatically do that. When I picked up this OnePlus One, I logged into my Google account, and immediately, as soon as I got it online, it started downloading hundreds of the apps that I had on the HTC One.
I must not have done that. Also, is it supposed to save your pictures or not?
No.
Oh, okay. Now, can you save?
But you can do that as well. You notice that whenever I want to see my pictures, I go to Google Plus. If you have the Google Plus app on your phone, or Dropbox, or Microsoft's OneDrive, or Facebook, there are quite a few apps that do this. You could check a box that says, whenever I take a picture, upload it and save it.
Yeah, I do have a lot saved in Facebook, but I was trying to get them to transfer over to my gallery, and they won't do that.
No, in fact, that's one where it's best to use Google Plus, have it upload to Google Plus, because then it does show up in the gallery.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now. Also, it didn't come with the SD card. Now, if I put an SD card in there, would everything go to the card, and then I can have that as a backup?
Okay, well, sort of. Now, sort of. So you can, when you put in the SD card, the next time you use the camera, it will say, oh, I see an SD card. You want me to save pictures there? And if you say yes, it will. It will not save pictures to 2 locations. It will save it either internally or to the SD card.
Same, one more question. Oh, go ahead.
Same thing for some data for applications, other stuff like that. However, there are third-party backup apps you can use, like Helium, that will back up your entire phone to the SD card. So you can download a software that will do that.
Okay. What about the Verizon Cloud? I have that now. Will that save all the pictures up in the cloud?
I don't know. Actually, I have it too, and I never use. I don't want to support the carriers, and I don't trust the carriers. So I think if you look in the app, it'll tell you what it'll back up. I would guess that Verizon backs up some, but not all. Remember, you can have gigabytes worth of data on this phone. And, most of these free backup solutions like Dropbox, they talk about 2 gigs free, and then you have to buy more. I don't know how Verizon works, but I'm guessing that at some point they're going to charge you. Look at this program. It's called Helium App Sync and Backup from Clockwork Mod. It's the only program I know of on Android that will allow you to back up everything. And it doesn't require root. Now, if you have root, there are a variety of ways to do this. I use titanium backup. This is the only one that doesn't require root. But this is a kind of a cool app. It's I believe it's free, called Helium. It's from Kosh, the Clockwork Mod guy, and he does a nice job with it. I always nervous about carrier services. In fact, that's why I generally will buy unlocked phones and phones that don't come from the carrier, because whenever I see a Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile logo on my phone, I worry. I don't trust them. You're probably getting the impression I'm a pretty cynical guy. I'm not. I'm open. I'm trusting. At least I was for a long time. But But they're just certain people, certain groups, certain companies that they have not. I trusted them until they betrayed my trust. And now I don't. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. TechGuyLabs.com. And it really is sad because I think the biggest breach of trust for me is I go on the internet and so much stuff is wrong, misstated. I used to, as a tech journalist, I used to read articles on the big tech blogs and newspapers and just blindly say, oh, yeah. And now I take everything with a grain of salt because they're so anxious to build links and build up clicks and get people to look at them. It feels as if they'll say anything just to get you to click on a link. Not me. You can't click on my link. It's radio. 8888 Ask Leo. You can't click on your phone and give me a ring. You can also click our link to the website, techguylabs.com. We're not trying to sell you anything there. That's just all the information is free from each and every show. More of your calls right after this. Actually, Chris Marquardt, photo guy, next. I've gotten cynical. I hate to admit it.
There was a skit on Daily Show.
Yeah.
Regarding journalism versus some guy from Mashable.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It was awesome. It was. So I will see if I can find you a link to it.
I'd love to see that. Yeah, we should play that on the show.
It's exactly what you're saying.
I'll show you one of the things we're going to do on the show is, let's see if I can find it. Somebody made a virtual John C. Dvorak. It hasn't showed up yet. It's from my tweets. So let me see if I can find the link. Yeah, and it writes just like Dvorak. It's kind of an interesting story. Oh, I can't find it. I hope John doesn't get mad at me. Chris Marquardt.
Leo Laporte.
Hello.
How are you?
Here it is. Why everything is bad for Apple. Thank you. From Knox Harrington. This is the funniest story. It's from Fortune. Philip Elmer DeWitt, who probably hates John. I can't think of any other reason. Output from a clickbait generator is nearly indistinguishable from what passes for tech journalism. Can you tell which of these paragraphs was written by veteran PC Mag columnist John C. Dvorak and which by a robot? All three of them read exactly like John wrote them, but only one of them is written by John. The rest were written by computer. They've gotten good. It's pretty funny.
So what camera was that you shot at the fairground with?
This is the new OnePlus One phone.
Oh, that was a camera. That was a camera in a phone?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Especially that. Now, I HDR'd it using a Pro HDR, which is the Johnny Jet camera app that he recommended.
Cheated.
That's not cheating.
Well,
all right, well, I'll show you.
okay.
Actually, I'll show you the originals. I mean, the original's pretty good. Actually, the original may be better because I had a little bit of blur in the HDR. Let me. So I'll tell you which is which. We can actually see from the info, I think. I also have to turn off Google's own enhancements. Google,
they switched that on by default, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah. So this is an HDR from
beefed up colors.
Yeah, you could tell I resaturated it. This is the normal shot,
and that's what sometimes they look slightly washed out of camera, and just applying a bit of contrast, just
absolutely
cranking up the contrast a bit.
That's a Google effect, which I don't like. This is the HDR camera. This is straight out of the camera, actually.
Oh, this is the straight out of the camera.
Yeah,
wow,
this one looks great. That's straight out of the camera.
Was it that colorful there?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was. It
was on a fairground, so most likely yes.
Well, this is they have the floral arrangements competition.
Oh, it looks like a photo set, like for for people sitting on the couch.
It did, didn't it? Yeah, like they have it at CES, yeah.
With a big peace sign in the background. It's cool.
So I'm sure this won a blue ribbon because it's pretty spectacular.
Very, very
hippie. I'm sorry. That's not normal. Let's go back to normal.
Oh, that's not normal. Okay.
That was enhanced by Google.
Yeah, slight bit less saturation.
Yeah.
But hey, that's still amazing, the stuff that comes out of these.
And the color's pretty true.
Phones, yeah.
It does look like a Thomas Kincaid master of light. You hear that music? That means it's time for Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. Chris is the host of the Tips from the Top Floor podcasts, does many photographic workshops every summer. No, you didn't do it this year. Usually every summer he comes to the U.S. Chris,
yeah, I took a quick break, but I'm going to be back.
Didn't come here. Oh, well.
Lots of other things.
But you went to Everest.
The Himalayan stuff.
Yeah,
Everest,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. A cruise and
You're a busy guy.
Iceland. I did that this year, and I'm going to do it next year again.
Chris also does some excellent webinars, I guess. DiscoverLightroom.com is his book on Lightroom. Just fabulous. Just fabulous. Highly recommended. So what do you want to talk about today? You're the Mythbuster, the photographic Mythbuster.
Yes. We want to bust a myth. Well, maybe a few myths around, well, something. There are two easy sells. When you go to a camera shop, they're going to sell you two things right away. One is a camera bag that's typically too small, so you're going to have to buy another one like in half a year when you buy another lens.
Yes.
And the other thing is some filters, some protective filters, some...
Oh yeah, the haze
UV
filter. It's not designed
filter,
to change the picture. They always tell me it won't change the picture, but it'll keep your lens from getting scratched.
Well, let's look at that. Well, first of all, why filters? They remove things from the light that comes through them. That's all a filter does. It removes parts of that spectrum while it lets some stuff through while holding some of the spectrum back. Right. Okay, so we have the visible spectrum. From red through green to violet, and then we have ultraviolet, and we have infrared on both of those sides, and that we can't see that. That's our eyes don't work for that. So there are these filters that cut out ultraviolet, and there are filters that cut out infrared, or even both. And if you come from the good old days of film, those were actually quite valuable. Those would improve your pictures, because what happened was that the infrared and the ultraviolet that is there, that we just can't see, would go onto the film and would change the colors a bit and would just introduce some artifacts that you could remove with these filters. So it's really ingrained in a lot of people's minds that, yes, you need a UV filter, yes, you need an IR filter. Some of the haze that you see is actually produced by these radiations that we don't see. The thing is, when you shoot digital, that does not apply, because yes, the invisible light will do something to the sensor. It would do something to the sensor if it would get through to the sensor. But if you would open up a camera, there is a big, kind of a 4 or 5 layer sandwich of glass in front of the sensor that is several different kinds of filters. And one is an IR filter and one is a UV filter. So your digital camera already has those two built in. So it kind of keeps the UV radiation and the infrared light out of your picture. So you don't need that filter to kind of make your pictures look better. It's actually kind of counterproductive if you look at that, because, a filter is a slab of glass. And what does glass do? Apart from letting light through?
Distorts stuff.
Well, it distorts stuff, even though that's not really a big problem. The other problem is that some of the light that falls on that filter gets reflected away.
Oh, yeah.
Gets reflected back.
Yeah.
So there is glass in the camera, in your lens, and that reflects some outwards, and that will hit the filter and come back into the camera. So there is this additional light in the picture that doesn't really need to go there. So those protective filters will not do anything for your picture in the digital world. They will, to a certain extent, protect your front lens. If if you're really paranoid about that, yes, absolutely get one. But then
although
make sure
you've pointed out that many scratches on your lens.
Oh, you won't even see them.
You won't. They
typically
don't really
won't see them,
affect stuff. Yeah.
But some people need that peace of mind, and they need to
your
put
lenses are
protective
expensive.
things on there. Yes, they are absolutely. But the front element of a lens, the glass, the first lens that is pointing towards the outside, it can be replaced. If you go to the camera service, this can be replaced. If you want to put a filter on there to protect it, by all means, get a good one. Don't get a $20 filter because that doesn't have the coating that you need. Get a multi-coated filter. Problem then is the replacement of that front element will probably be in the same ballpark as one of those filters because they tend to get really expensive.
Hey, what do you use to clean your lenses? As long as we're talking about glass lenses, do you just take a old T-shirt and rub off the schmutz?
If that's all I got,
you don't go out and get special soaked paper lens cleaners, or
no. I usually have a microfiber cloth with me. And those are great. And I throw this into the washer after a while and clean it and reuse it. It's pretty worn. I get one with the TWiT logo on it, which I picked up when I was at the brick house. But that's pretty much what I do. And if I only have a T-shirt, then that's gonna be it. But most of the time, I don't clean my lenses too much because, well, first of all, it tends to rub off the coating in the front if you clean it too often, which is not a big problem, but yeah, it has its advantages, especially if you use filters, because then it kind of takes that glare off and those reflections off. But the bit of dust on the front element, that is as invisible as most scratches are, even less visible. So if there's a bit of dust on the front of your lens, that has never really interfered with any of my pictures so far.
Not a problem.
No, not really. Put a lens hood on. This is this little plastic thing, the round plastic thing that extends out over the front of the lens. Sometimes they're kind of tulip shaped, sometimes they're round. If one of those comes with your lens, put it on. It's gonna help your contrast in the picture, but it will also help protect your lens from dings and things. You can bash it against things without the glass being affected. That's very effective protection, actually.
Protect your lens against dings and things, says Chris Marquardt, the photo guy. Discover Lightroom.com. Hey, if it rhymes, I'm on it. I'm all over it. It's easy to remember. We've got I don't want to say competition, an assignment for you. We every month, Chris gives us a word, a concept, an idea that he wants us to illustrate with photographs. It's just an excuse to get out there and take pictures, and it doesn't have to be a big fancy camera. At the end of each 4-week segment, we'll pick 3, and Chris will review them on the radio, which is a little odd, but it works. What is our assignment this month?
The current assignment is still a goal.
Goal! We got one more week, 2 more weeks for that?
Yeah, I think next week we're going to review it next.
Last chance. Now, it doesn't have to be a soccer goal. It could be any kind of goal. It could be your aim, your goal. You define what goal means. We're not going to tell you that. But do take a picture. Take many pictures, but you can submit one a week to the Flickr group Tech Guy. That's the group. It's free to join Flickr, of course. That's Yahoo's photo sharing site. The Tech Guy group has about, thousands of members now. It's really grown. It's great. Renee Silverman, our moderator.
I think it's over 10,000.
I think it's over 10,000. Yeah. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you and your submission, and you can look at what other people have submitted. Tag it with the word goal so we know it's for this particular assignment. And Renee also gives weekly assignments and so forth. It's a lot of fun if you want to. Just an excuse to go out and take more shots. Chris Marquardt, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, as always. You're just going to nod at me? You know, it is radio.
Was I supposed to say something? Thanks for having me. Talk to you again next week.
He's nodding away. Thank you. Thank you, Chris Marquardt. No need to buy those filters, says Chris. No reason to add more distortion or reflection to what you've already got. Your camera's got plenty. I'm paraphrasing. 8888 Ask Leo. We'll talk more about tech right after this. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thank you, Chris.
Well, for some reason, I just didn't get that hint.
Internet killed the newspaper star. I like it. All right, Chris, have a good one.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Yeehaw! Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number. Question in the chat room. We get them all the time in the chat room. Great chat room. irc.twit.tv. That's the website, or you can go to techguylabs.com and get a link there. But somebody in the chat room said, hey, I use Chrome on my computer, and is anybody... I just looked, and my goodness, it's using 110 megabytes of memory. Is there something wrong? That's a form of a question we get a lot on this show, and I hear from a lot. My computer's using 100% of its CPU. It's using 100% of its memory. What's going on? Well, first of all, I hope you have more than 110 megabytes of RAM in your computer. You probably have 4,000 megabytes or more of RAM. That's 4 gigabytes. It's normal for programs. In fact, if you think about it, if nobody else is using the memory, the program should use it. If nobody else is using the CPU, the program should use it. If somebody wants the memory, if you're running short, it should gracefully give it back. But it's sitting there. Why shouldn't it use it? And this is how modern computers work. Modern computers, they're smart enough to say, well, you've got 4 gigabytes of RAM. Chrome, be my guest. Use as much memory as you need, and I'll let you know if I need some back. So 110 megabytes, that's nothing. Now, I understand. If you've been computing for any length of time, you remember the days when a computer would have 4 megabytes of RAM, or maybe if you were really loaded, 8 megabytes of RAM. And so to say 110 megabytes of RAM is in use is kind of wow. But it's welcome to modern times where no modern computer has fewer than 4 gigabytes of RAM, and typically they have more. And so Chrome is going to do the right thing. Your operating system is going to do the right thing and allow you to use as much as you want as long as you give it back gracefully when it's needed. Same thing kind of for CPUs. You don't usually want to see the CPU go to 100% the minute you run a program, but if nobody else is using it, nothing else, if it's not making the system sluggish, let the program have what it needs. It's okay. Don't panic. This is similar to a problem that happens, I understand, in medicine. Patients who know too much are going to find all sorts of things wrong that aren't really wrong. And now maybe we've got all these monitors running on our systems, and we know how much memory is being used, how much CPU is being used. Normal users don't know that. They don't look for it. They don't find it, and that's better probably. Ignorance is bliss. Don't worry. Jason's on the line from Cooper, Texas. Hi, Jason. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine. What can I do for you?
I have a tablet. It's running Jelly Bean 4.1.1.
Okay.
And I'm trying to move out to the external SD card, and I was wondering how to do that.
You want to move your apps to the SD card?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something I think comes a little bit from again, this is one of those things, people have done it this way for years, so they think this is a normal operation. On your desktop computer, you might have a couple of drives, and you might logically, reasonably move stuff over there. But even on your desktop computer, there's certain things that work better when they're on the C drive than when they're on the D drive, right? Well, this is more true on mobile platforms. In fact, for a long time, Windows Phone didn't support SD drives because there was no way to reliably do that and keep a reliable system. Android's gone back and forth. For a while, it was part of the operating system. You could move apps to the SD drive. I think the latest is that you can't. I cannot remember. They've come and gone in different versions of Android. Running an application from an SD drive is potentially problematic. My experience has been that it's okay to do on an application unless the application has widgets desktop widgets. If you're running a desktop widget from an application, it must be on the internal storage. So in general, unless you're really running short on space, I do not recommend moving apps to the SD drive. And I do believe that KitKat, the new version, disallows that. I think in KitKat, they changed a lot of things about how the SD drive works. And probably for reliability reasons, maybe also, though, for security reasons. For instance, it used to be that an application could look at folders on the SD drive, store stuff there, write stuff there, even if they didn't own the folder. Now they have to it has to be their folder. And they can't randomly write to other applications' folders. And that's good security practice, but it broke some applications. SD cards are slower than the internal drive. So in general, what I recommend when you buy an Android phone is buy as much internal storage as you can afford. Because ideally, you're going to store at least applications there. I think it's okay in most cases to store pictures and music and data files on the SD card. But even with pictures, I've seen phones crash just because they're not happy with it. You're supposed to be able to, but even there, I think you see problems. So my general recommendation is, unless you absolutely have to, do not move apps to the SD card. There are, after you root Android and you have an older version, probably an older phone, that means you probably there are successful root exploits out there that allow you to take full power over the phone, become an administrator. Once you've rooted a phone, you can do that. But it may not always be the best idea. The phone might be protecting you from yourself. My suggestion is, unless you need to, don't. And in KitKat, you won't be able to at all. How about that? So you see a lot of phones nowadays don't even come with SD drives, and I think that's one of the reasons. This OnePlus One I was talking about earlier doesn't have an SD card slot, but it has available 64 gigs internal, and that's the way to do it. By the way, we need less and less storage on our computer, on our mobile devices, as more and more of our data is stored in the cloud. That's another good thing. For instance, most mobile devices now, you can run an app, whether it's Apple's Photo Stream or Google Plus on Android. Facebook does it. Dropbox does it. OneBox does it on the Microsoft things, where every time you take a picture, it'll be copied up to their servers and stored. That means you can delete pictures, for instance, from your phone almost immediately. Wait till they're copied. But once they're copied, the next day or two, remove them, and you'll not have the same storage issues. Did I already talk to Steve in Bakersfield? Stephen in Bakersfield? No? Let's do it right now. Hi, Stephen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Mr. Laporte.
Mr. Laporte, that's me!
I followed your career for years. Thank you for taking my call.
Stephen, we're going to have to take a break, but you will be next right after the news at the top of the hour from all of our stations along the network. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hang in there. More of your calls right after this. The sales of Apple stickers have gone through the roof thanks to the new Apple notebook ads that show MacBook Airs with all those stickers. It's like tripled the sales of stickers. It's a great ad.
It is a great ad.
Yeah, it really makes you feel like, wow.
I need a sticker.
I need a sticker. Everybody wants that Snow White one where Snow White's holding the Apple logo. I cover up my Apple logo because I don't want to do an ad for Apple.
Oh, okay.
So now I have Jerry
Garcia.
Yeah.
I need to figure out some kind of sticker. I haven't figured it out yet.
Well, I'll show you the two different companies that do. The Jelliskins was the original, and they're really still. They have beautiful stickers. In fact, gosh, I met them years ago, probably at I want to say at Macworld Expo or somewhere like that. So a lot of the stickers that you've seen are Jelliskins. And what they do, which is great, is they hire artists. So a lot of these are really unique and special. There's Van Gogh's Starry, Starry Night.
Yeah, I know a guy who took a photo and he got that put on, wrapped on his phone and on his MacBook Air.
That's cool.
Yeah, totally personalized.
You know, I should, okay, this is MacBook. Some of them apparently just cover up the, some of these are very funny. Cover up the apple. Captain Howdy. How about this? The Victorian Star Wars.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, these guys are great. Now, this is
oh,
a
is
UK.
that Europe? I was like, is that a lira I see on there?
It's euros.
Euros?
I wonder if there's a U.S. site. Oh, Nuvengo. Oh, maybe they got sold or something. What? No, that's something else. This is from the Jellaskins people. So they've started a new company. I get it. Apple Store sells them too. Huh. Wonder if something happened to them as a company. Well, then there's a Canadian company that does some twit stuff.
I take a lot of sunrise and sunset pictures. I should turn one of mine in and have them make a sticker for my thing,
Just look
so it would be personal.
MacBook Air stickers. Let's see who's the decals. Decal girl. Customize your own device skins. I guess everybody's in this business now. And Apple sells them. Oh, see, this is from the ad. So you can buy the stickers from the ad. Oh. Ah, very clever. There's the Snow White. Oh, wait a minute. It's not Apple. So these are just showing you the stickers. They don't have a link. That's lame.
Huh?
That is lame.
I like the Homer one.
Apple. Yeah, you really should offer. Now, Etsy sells some. These usually use a 3M material. It's easy to remove. Oh, that's funny. I like that one. I should just buy a bunch of these and just change it every week. That's what I should do. Oh, that's cute.
Well, that's kind of local.
Yeah.
Snoopy.
You know, maybe I'll just buy 100 of these and change them every week. Yeah. Ooh.
That would be cool. What is that?
That's one of the main, those anglerfish
Oh.
with an apple lure. Oh, I used to have this one, actually. The very famous wave picture. That was actually on my Apple, but I didn't have that. I think that's gone a little far.
Oh, on the keyboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You'd have to turn your computer in to have them apply that, wouldn't you? TV.
No, you just painstakingly put little tiny bits on each key.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Oh, Heisenberg. Let's see this one. Yeah. I want that one. All right, I'm ordering that right now. That's hysterical. Oh, you can have the Joker holding an apple? These are good. Look at Michael Jordan. Windows 8. Dell. Oh, I'm going to mess with people.
Make them think it's a Dell.
I'm going to mess with people.
Your Dell MacBook.
I really like the Heisenberg. Yeah, I could probably have Burke cut out from electrician's tape.
The cheap way of doing things.
Yeah. Well, why are some... They're all different prices. Ohio Sunset. Ooh. Mick says, do you want this one on your laptop? Ooh.
Yeah, see, that's what I would do. Something like
Mick.
that. One of the photos I took and then have them wrap it.
Wow, that is gorgeous. Nice picture, Mick. I would really, if I had more energy, that would be the thing to do, is order 50 or 60 of those. I just spent a huge amount of money ridiculously expensive ordering letterpress note cards with my name on it. I used to have them and I ran out. They're like $4 each, but I like if people send me a handwritten
you want to
email. I want to. So this sweet little old lady sent me this note. I'm on a fixed income and I'm trying to decide what computer to get. Sweet letter, and I want to write her back. Right? She even enclosed a stamp.
A self-addressed stamp?
No, just a stamp. So I thought I really should write her back, but I don't have any more. I used to have letter cards with the TWIT logo and my name, and they were letterpress. You know, that's when you use a really thick cardstock, and they use these presses, and it actually is embedded, indented into the. It's actually embossed into the card. So I just ordered from Crane, stationery. They're like $4. That's a card. But they're going to look nice. Yeah. They just say Leo, Chief Twit. Oh no, from the desk of the Chief Twit.
Too many letters. That's why it got so expensive.
And then I got blue lining, Twit blue lining. Yeah, I did add up. But letterpress is expensive because I think it has to be done almost by hand. It's not an inexpensive process. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. I am the tech guy, and every week we spend some time together talking about computers and the internet and smartphones, home theater, digital photography, anything with a chip in, all that computer-y stuff, that people do nowadays. 8888 Ask Leo, that's my number. If you have a question or a comment or a suggestion, you want some help, I used to call it hand-holding on the information superhighway. You don't hear people call the internet the information superhighway much anymore, do you? I don't wonder why. Well, because for many of us, it's not a superhighway. It's more like a country lane with a few bumps along the way. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Website, techguylabs.com. And we picked up Stephen in Bakersfield right before the top of the hour, and I apologize I had to put you back on hold, but you're on now. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, sir.
Thanks for your patience. What can I do for you?
Yes, I realize I'm running a older version of Windows Office. I believe it's Windows 2003.
Oh, yeah. Well, the current version is 2013.
Well, everything works great except for the Outlook mail program.
Yeah.
I try to get it to start up, and it takes like 3-4 minutes to load to start every time I start it up. And I don't know, I can
help you with that.
Okay.
The truth is, let's face it, a word processor, there's really nothing new under the sun. There's nothing in 2014 that they didn't know about word processing in 2003, is there? So what possibly could be different? Well, it looks different. There's new, it's a stretch. So probably in most cases, your old version of Office is going to be fine in every respect. There's not going to be a lot new. Maybe if you use PowerPoint for presentations, there'll be some new transitions, some new effects, things like that. A spreadsheet, spreadsheets haven't changed much since the 80s. We know what kind of things we need to do, and so there's a whole lot of pressure from people and Microsoft to get you to buy the new version, but you're fine with 2003. Actually, that was one of the better versions of Office. Pre-ribbon. You still have Clippy, though, don't you? That's a little annoying.
Could it be that,
I know what's wrong. No, I know what's wrong. So Outlook, the way Outlook works is it puts your calendar, your address book, and all your email in a giant hairball of a file called outlook.pst. And at some point, that thing just gets unmanageably big. Even if you delete stuff, it gets unmanageably big. So there's a few things you can do to make Outlook more efficient. I would certainly turn on the archive feature. If you go into your Outlook, you can archive emails after a certain period of time. And the way it does it remove them from outlook.pst and put them in an archive.pst file. That's a great idea. I would also try re-indexing my Outlook file, or even, if you don't want to keep the stuff that's in there, just delete it and start over. But that big file is what's slowing you down, because when you launch Outlook now, you have to load everything in from that giant file. And that file's been around for 10 years. It's a little disgusting. It literally is, well, not literally, but it's figuratively quite the hairball. So,
will you be writing these instructions down on your website?
Yeah, we will. I'll put a link into the website to a Microsoft page that talks about how to compress, reindex, or archive Outlook.pst. And it's something nobody ever does, nobody ever talks about, but it really is an important thing to do. I personally think that the way Outlook stores stuff is wrong. Microsoft likes to put things in giant files. The registry is another good example. And these files get bigger and bigger and bigger. And a couple of things can go wrong. One, the bigger that they are, a small error in part of the file can ruin the whole file. So that's one problem. But also, they can actually get too big for your operating system. Neither Outlook nor registry files should get bigger than 2 gigabytes. And they do quickly. So if you just Google compress Outlook, you might want to compress Outlook 2003 to get the instructions for the right version. But there's a Microsoft article, how to compact, they call it compact, PST files to eliminate deleted item space. What this does is it rebuilds Outlook, because when you delete a message, it doesn't make the file smaller. So this rebuilds Outlook.pst to recover that. That'll help. Even that'll help. And you can do this manually if you go to File in Outlook, File, Data File Management, select the Personal folder, click Settings, go to the General tab, click Compact Now. Come on. Come on, Microsoft. Could you make it any more obscure? It's that big old file. Now, my suggestion is stop using Outlook entirely. There are far better solutions nowadays. In 2003, hey, that was it. But, you know, have you considered using, and many have done this already, moving to the cloud? Using, for instance, is what I use, Google Mail, Gmail, for your mail. You will never have this problem again. Google Calendar, Google Contacts, for your contacts and calendar, respectively, obviously. There are a couple of advantages to this. One, it's stored in the cloud, so you can have multiple computers accessing the same calendar, the same contacts, the same email, and that's nice. In fact, it's one of the reasons the cloud exists is because we're no longer in an era where you have one and only one computing device. Most people have at least 2, your computer and your phone. Many people have more, computer at work, computer at home phone, laptop, desktop, tablet, and phone. In my case, 23 phones. And it's the advantage of storing stuff in the cloud, your email, your calendar, your contacts in the cloud, is it can be the same on all those devices. You change it on one, it changes it on all of them. Believe me, this is a problem that wasn't a problem in 2003, but absolutely has to be solved today. And it's one of the reasons we're all starting to use cloud storage. If you don't want to use Gmail, if you like Microsoft, MicrosoftOutlook.com is excellent email. And it'll work well with Outlook, the desktop version of Outlook. A lot of people, you know, we all do. There's inertia. This has worked for years, but you do get to a point in computing where something's slowing down, something's not working. That's the opportunity to rethink it, and what in the industry they call it refactor. Now you've learned a little bit about what the different ways of doing things are. But maybe you could make it a little bit more efficient, a little bit better. You don't want to do it all the time. Every once in a while. The reason I use Gmail. Mostly it's because it's got the best spam filtering. It's really effective. So much so that I don't need to use any other spam filtering. It's very, very good. Ron, North Carolina, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Leo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, I got to visit you about a year ago. I'm the one that tripped in the brick house. So I was.
Oh, how's your knee?
Oh, it's great. I'm able to do the samba and break dance and everything.
Oh, I'm so glad. I was so worried about you, Ron.
Yeah, I'm great and everything's good. Hey, man, it's my 30th wedding anniversary, and I'm getting my wife a new laptop.
Oh, I thought you were going to say dance lessons. Oh, good. A new laptop. Okay.
And anyway, I'm looking at the Lenovo's, one of the Z50s. It's just a basic, budget-friendly laptop. But the wireless has got references. It's got an Intel chip. It's got AC on it, and my old router is an
no problem.
300.
In fact, most of the new computers will have AC. That's the new upcoming standards, not even been ratified. But one good thing about Wi-Fi, it's like USB, it's downward compatible, so the old stuff will still work.
Right, but I was just wondering, I mean, being that this 300 I've got is just long in the tooth, would you recommend maybe going to a 900, or maybe should I go to an AC type router or anything?
You know, it's true that routers wear out. You wouldn't think so, but the heat of continuous traffic, all those bits, the friction from the bits going through the pipes, well, no, there's no friction, but they really do wear out, and it's not a bad idea. Every few years, get a new router. They're so inexpensive. You will see a benefit from AC, considerable speed benefit. It really is a lot better. So, yeah, if you can afford an AC router, a lot of companies make them now. I think that's a very good choice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm glad you're feeling better, Ron. Ron's the reason we have a 4-page disclaimer now for everybody who comes inside the studio. I felt so bad. Poor Ron, he tripped over here, and he really hurt his knee. His son ended up taking him to the hospital. And I'm so glad he's okay. But after that, our lawyers and mostly our insurance company said, what kind of waiver do you have people sign? Oh, none.
Somebody in the chat room said the same thing.
Yeah. I think we better. And so we went to our lawyers, and it's 4 pages. It is endless. You basically relinquish all rights if you come in our door. Linksys Nighthawk reaches 5 acres, says McMahon. Wow. Wow. No, and poor Ronnie didn't trip on any cables because there's plenty to trip on here, and we do really always say, careful, watch where you're looking. But this is another thing. We got wireless headphones after that. Ron got wrapped up in the headphone cable. And so he stood up and he went straight that way. It's down to 1 because we made we made it very small type and double-sided. Actually, it's not too bad. Did we cut it? We cut it because it was 4 pages. This is only 2 now. Oh, that's nothing. You have to sign it twice?
Well, you write your name on the front and then you write it again.
All right, let's just see. The released parties. This agreement is made in connection with guests' desire to visit and tour the Brick House, hereinafter referred to as The Visit.
It's so legal.
Guests. Why is this apostrophe S? This is...
Nobody edited
This is
it.
a typo. Well, let me do a little red pencil here. Apostrophe S. There's no apostrophe S there. Guests. Guest agrees his or her participation in the visit is voluntary.
You were forced to come here.
Guest, that's you, acknowledges that the Brick House is an active and functioning studio and office with a broad range of equipment, wiring, and furniture. In addition, the Brick House is an older building with its own risks and dangers, such as uneven surfaces and stairs. Activities means each and every activity arising from or related to the visit. The released parties mean Twit LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, together with its officers, employees, members, managers, and agents. And this is in caps. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing recital and mutual covenants and conditions contained herein, guest hereby agrees as follows. 1. This is ridiculous. But you have to do it like this. Assumptions of risks. Guest acknowledges the activities are inherently dangerous and, fully realizing the dangers of participating in the activities, fully assumes the risks associated with each participation. Do you agree? Yes or no? No! 2. Waiver. In consideration of being permitted to participate in the activities, guest personally and for his or her successors assigns heirs, executors, administrators, and personal representatives, does hereby release, waive, discharge, and covenant not to sue each released party from any and all claims, demands, and liability arising from, related to, his or her participation in the activities, including but not limited to the negligence of each released party resulting in personal injury, accidents, or illnesses, including death and property loss. You agree?
Did Lisa have to sign a waiver like this to go on the zipper yesterday?
Isn't that funny? No.
No.
There's no waiver
for the zipper
at all.
And
that's dangerous.
And that's dangerous.
That's like a one of them gem polishing devices, except you're the gem. That's a good point. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it is time. Did I finish the call on the Lenovo? Or did I run out of time? I think that's a nice laptop. Was that the entire question? I guess so. Let's move on to Jay in Providence, North Carolina. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Leo, I was going to ask, and this is for a couple of friends because I only use Macs these days, but they have old Windows laptops, Vista in the case of the oldest one, and I'm wondering if it's cost-effective to upgrade them to 8.1 because they don't have touchscreen.
And this is what you need.
Right.
You really want touchscreen.
I'm just saying, like, I think.
I see what you're saying. Should I take these old Vista computers and upgrade them to 8 even though they won't have touch?
Right.
I see. You're not saying replace the computers. You're saying just replace the operating system.
Right.
Yeah, certainly 8.8 Windows 8. I'll use 8 generically, 8 to include 8.1. Windows 8 is designed to work on all old hardware because Microsoft never, ever wants to leave anybody behind. And I think that may be a failing in some ways. It certainly makes it more difficult for Microsoft to do business. But they absolutely designed Windows 8 to work fine with keyboard and mouse. I think it works better, and I do recommend when people buy a new computer to get touch because I think it's nice to have the touch. I don't think you'd use the touch exclusively. I think there's just times when you kind of naturally want to reach out and do stuff. But every single thing, like getting the Charms bar to slide out, going to see all the currently running programs, all of that can be done by a movement of the mouse to a corner. All the swiping and everything can be done with a mouse. If it's a laptop, the trackpads often can do it as well. I don't think you need touch, in other words. And 8 will be a big improvement in other respects. It's certainly more secure. It's faster. That's one of the reasons 8 runs well on even older hardware that runs Vista. It's faster as long as you have enough RAM, and I'd say 2 gigabytes is a minimum. I think 8 is a good choice. It also fixes some problems that have historically been around since before Vista. File copying on Windows has historically always been horrible, never reliable, slow, and they really fixed that in Windows 8. So yeah, I'd recommend an upgrade.
Okay. And do you think would SpinRite be, I guess, basically the same question in terms of checking out the hardware ahead of time?
Yeah, not a bad idea. So SpinRite, and a disclaimer, I do a show with the creator of SpinRite, Steve Gibson, and so I have a little bit of a vested interest in SpinRite, but I've used it for years. I don't want to oversell what SpinRite does. SpinRite is actually very simple. It calls a BIOS interrupt that reads the disk. But unlike the operating system, it doesn't give up. That's really the big difference in SpinRite. It keeps reading that sector until it gets the data off of it. If it notices it's difficult to read, it will say, okay, I'm going to map that sector out so you can't use it ever again. Hard drives do this on their own. Every hard drive ships from the factory with a bad sector map. There are no perfect hard drives, but as you use a hard drive, sectors tend to go bad as well. And so that's what SpinRite will do. It's not a bad idea on an older hard drive to run SpinRite and get any sectors that are marginal out of use. That'll make the hard drive more reliable. It's not a panacea. It's not going to make an old hard drive young again. It just will make sure that if it's starting to fail, that if some of the parts are starting to fail, it won't use those areas.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, it's about $90. It's not. It's about the cost of a new hard drive. So in general, if you got one computer and one hard drive, SpinRite probably isn't an economical choice because you could just buy a new hard drive for that price. But if you have, as it sounds like, numbers of computers to upgrade, any IT shop should absolutely have a copy of SpinRite. It's very, very useful in that regard.
Okay, yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, from what I've gathered, I've listened to you for a fairly good while, that I could probably do the upgrades with any instructions that come with the 8.1.
Well, you'll have to have a license for each desk.
Oh, yeah, but if I buy those.
So if you buy a multi-volume license, it'll be very straightforward. Now, It can get a little more complicated. In fact, we're doing something similar. We're building 8 new edit workstations. All our editors are going to be upgraded from the old Mac Pros that we bought 3 or 4 years ago and the old versions of the Macintosh operating systems to Windows 8.1, Update 1. They'll be running Dell PCs with very, high-end video cards and all that stuff. And, of course, we bought a license of Windows for each of those computers. And we bought something, not only a volume license agreement, but something called App Locker, which is very handy if you're installing on multiple machines because it allows you to make an image, especially if these machines are identical. It sounds like you are in a heterogeneous environment, but if you were in a, and it still could be valuable there, but if you're in a more homogeneous environment, then like ours, where all the machines are identical, you make one image and it's very quick to blast that image, and App Locker makes that easy to do. So you might, now you're talking about an enterprise purchase. You probably have a rep at Microsoft. You can ask about that. And there's other advantages to do the volume license. For instance, we expect a new version of Windows in the spring. Believe it or not, Windows 8 is almost done. Windows 9 or Threshold or whatever they call is coming out in the spring. I've heard rumors that it might be free, but if you buy the volume license, you'll get an automatic upgrade. So that is also a good idea. If you want Windows 8 to look like Windows 7, there are great solutions there. Update 1 makes it more like Windows 7. For instance, if you use the same wallpaper for the desktop as you use for the Metro tiles, it won't feel so jarring to press the Windows key and jump to those tiles. But you can also use something like Start 8 from Stardock, Start the number 8 from Stardock to actually bring back a Windows menu. There are other companies that make free or similar programs like but like Start 8, but I like Start 8. $5. I think that's it. I think that's everything I know about this subject. Good luck, Jay. It won't be hard. I'm surprised you don't have an IT guy with that. With a number, if you have a number of computers, we're a small business, under 25 employees, but we absolutely we don't have a full-time IT guy, but we contract with a company that does it. We have an excellent guy, Russell. You hear me talk about him all the time. He's not an employee; he's a contract IT specialist. But having somebody like that, who really knows this stuff and can say things like, well, we really need to get the volume licensing with App Locker because it's going to be easy to image them, things like that. That's valuable. That's valuable. You'd think I'm the full-time IT guy? No. For 2 good reasons. One, I don't know enough. This is a very specialized thing. And unless you do it all the time, full-time, it's hard to know everything there is to know. I learn. I always pick Russell's brain when he's here. The other thing is, frankly, I make more money just sitting here answering calls than I do fixing our computers. So I'll pay Russell to do that. 8888 Ask Leo. All of this stuff is going to be on the website. That's our reference volume for everything I talk about. TechGuyLabs.com. Make a note of that, if you will, because that's where our phone number is, links to our chat room. Each and every show, audio and video, questions and answers, your comments too. And by the way, that's free. We have great sponsors. I don't need to make any more money. We'll make that free. We won't charge you for that. TechGuyLabs.com. And now we continue with a dramatic reading of the waiver of rights. I'm only a quarter of the way through it. Jeff, I want to get a bunch of decorative backs for my MacBook, and then every week have a different one. Is that what they'll conclude, that I'm using a new laptop every week? Oh. There's some that say Dell or have the Windows logo.
It could be like a TV show where it has the Windows logo.
Yeah, that nobody ever made. Yeah. Who did that? There was some TV show, they had that Windows logo. We were talking about that on Windows Weekly. Which one? No, it was a show I watch.
Arrow.
Don't watch Chuck or Arrow. Might be Breaking Bad. It was something where they had these... Or 24 or something, where they had a Windows logo here, like glowing. Yeah, the flag. And nobody ever made that. Yeah, we're talking about that on Windows Weekly. That's the special version that Microsoft gives Hollywood.
You using Chad's Twitter?
No. Now what?
No, it's good.
Oh, good. What, did he get nominated for a Nobel Prize?
No, I think Dick had him put in a Mad comic strip.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Very
cute.
caricature-esque.
Steve S. I like the what cases did I like? Oh, I really liked a lot. He's got an Antec case he says is really funky, and I agree. What was it?
Smush or something.
No, it wasn't Smush. I have a Smush case.
That's my new laptop.
Oh, where'd you get that? Did I buy you a new laptop? I tried to talk Lisa out of it. So he doesn't need a new laptop. Just give him Jason's old laptop with a swelling battery.
I got Windows on here. I got to put visual.
Which one did we gave you a Retina?
Yeah, the regular.
15?
Yeah.
That's pretty nice of us. I know. Of me? Yes. I don't know why I say us. Lisa doesn't kick in. Or she makes us the money, so. Yeah. No, you know, in most companies that when you get a new employee, they get a kit that's a laptop and a few other things. And we don't do that because we're not really a very big company and we don't like to waste money on people like you. But I'm glad you have a nice new laptop. No, you needed it. Yeah. You were using your own Dell or something, an old Windows Mac?
No, I was using my Mac.
Your old Mac, okay.
Well, I have the.
You know, it's sad. Did you get the new one? That's the new one. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we were waiting. Do you notice a difference?
Oh yeah. Well, mine was 2 years old.
Yeah. Haswell itself is a difference, but I wasn't tempted because it seemed like a 100 megahertz speed bump.
I mean, I also.
Yeah, that's pretty good. No, that's noticeably good. Right. More RAM, more SSD, and it's really nice to have Windows. Which one are you using? VMware or just using Boot Camp? Yeah, I like VMware. Richard Dreyfuss reads the iTunes EULA. The reason lawyers use language like that is not to obfuscate it. I know we all think they're obfuscating it, but it's a precision of language, and those accepted terms of art are important because you could do it in plain English, but it's loosey-goosey. And so by using these really obscure, medieval terminology, it's not so much that it's not loosey-goosey, it's just there are terms of art that are understood by courts, and there's less ambiguity. So plain English tends to be more ambiguous. So you want a lawyer, if he's going to write an agreement, to write it in language that will be the least possible ambiguity, the clearest. And what it has to be clear to is not you and me, but the court. Is Patrick Wilson in Weezer? I think that's who it is. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Patrick. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't forget. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Alan is on the line from Rancho Palos Verdes. Hey, Alan.
Hello, Leo. It's an extreme pleasure to speak with you.
Well, my pleasure too. Thank you.
My issue is I first of all would like to publicly announce what kind of phone I'm using, but there's a stipulation.
Okay.
That is no one is allowed to laugh.
Okay, ready? Kim, no laughing. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It is a BlackBerry 9650.
Oh, I had one of those. That was like my last smartphone before I bought an iPhone in 2007.
There we go.
But I didn't laugh.
Right.
No. You know what? Those are great phones.
Thank you for not laughing.
No, they're great phones. I loved my BlackBerry.
Well, the next question most people might ask is, why are you holding on to that phone?
Yes, why?
Well, here's my dilemma. When I purchased that phone, I was offered something by Verizon called unlimited bandwidth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
now,
good luck keeping that, yeah.
Nothing is unlimited, but it was a significant amount of bandwidth that I can no longer get from them.
Yeah, and Verizon got in trouble because they told people, well, we're going to throttle you with unlimited bandwidth past a certain point, and the courts slapped them around for that. Verizon does not like you or your data plan and is doing everything they can to disincent you. So here are the rules, at least as they currently stand, and there's no guarantee Verizon will not change this. But right now, if you upgrade a phone, if you pay the full price, if you don't get a subsidized phone, you will keep your unlimited plan.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, but supposedly. But please verify that with a Verizon employee. Get them to put it in writing before you actually do it. But that was the rule. for a while, and I think it's still the rule, that as long as you pay the full freight on your upgrade, you can keep your plan. Now, Verizon's doing all sorts of things to move you off that plan to what they call the shared data plan. The idea is, well, you and your family, you get 9 gigabytes, all of you. It's going to be a better deal than your unlimited plan, and it almost never is because of overage charges. You'll get overage charges, and it will cost you, and they know it. At $15 a gigabyte, they're going to get you. So you're right. Keep that unlimited plan as long as you can.
So then my next question is, and this is my question to you, can I not just buy a jailbroken or a phone I can jailbreak and upgrade to something reasonable?
No, you don't even need to jailbreak it. Well, it's okay. It's a little different on Verizon. What you don't want is not jailbroken, but unlocked.
Unlocked.
Yeah. What they call carrier locking locks you into an individual carrier. You can, in many cases, go out and buy a phone that is not attached to a carrier. You'll pay the full price and then put the SIM card in. Here's the problem. Verizon you don't have a SIM card.
Yes.
That's basically the problem. Modern Verizon phones, LTE phones, do. And if you had one of those, then you could, in fact, transfer the SIM card. And in most cases, Verizon just wouldn't pay any attention to it. Verizon's kind of they don't want you to stay on that plan, and they're going to do everything they can, short of actually cheating you, to get you to change.
I found this out.
Yeah. Yeah, you know why? These companies, even though there's 4 of them, you know, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and Sprint, really AT&T, and Verizon pretty much own like 80 or 90% of all the customers, and they're monopolies. They may be duopolies, but they act like monopolies. And one of the things a monopoly does is, well, screw you. Well, to put it bluntly.
Let me just say this. One of the main reasons I want to change my phone is something that I do pretty regularly is when I travel. I like to tether my laptop. You could throw that one out. So what do you suggest that I do to upgrade my phone and maintain a significant amount
Somebody's
of bandwidth?
telling me, and this sounds right, that Verizon does not consider that nice BlackBerry Bold to be a smartphone. It is. It has a browser. I think it's a smartphone. They say it's not. So you're not paying for that unlimited plan will not transfer to any smartphone, period.
Yeah.
Now, I would check with Verizon again, and these rules change all the time. For instance, they plan to start throttling unlimited users in October. So they're constantly changing these rules. FCC, you have to, if you're a cell phone company, you have to go a long way to irritate the FCC chairman, Tom Wheeler, given that he is a member of the Wireless Phone Hall of Fame, longtime lobbyist for wireless carriers. He's irritated by Verizon, wrote them a letter saying, knock it off. You can imagine how far Verizon had to go to get him angry. I mean, this guy's in their pocket, and he's still mad. So, all bets are off. You have to ask them. The rules are convoluted. They are not logical. They will attempt to trick you, basically. And I think one of the ways they're going to do it is by saying that's not a smartphone. Even though, obviously, it is. You're able to use the data on it. It's a smartphone.
Right.
But a new smartphone, and I believe this. Somebody is saying this in the chat room, and I'm not sure, but he says if you move to an LTE phone, a smartphone, they will treat that as a whole new data plan. You will lose your unlimited.
Yeah, that's my belief. Yeah.
And anyway, tethering's $20 extra a month.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not paying that now, but I am paying.
No, you will. Just out of curiosity, what's your monthly bill on that BlackBerry? Mine is, long distance calls or whatever,
Well, it's ridiculous. It's me and my wife, and hers is pretty minimal, but the overall bill is somewhere around $269.
You know what? It's pretty typical. In fact, you could move to T-Mobile, the quote uncarrier, and you're not going to. You're paying a lot. You probably would save money moving to a regular data plan at this point.
Yeah.
$80 a month is pretty typical for a family. Maybe 120, 130. So I think that actually it sounds like you're already overpaying for a variety of reasons.
I believe I am.
You should talk to Verizon. And just, one way to do this is say, hey, look, I got this old phone. I'm paying this much money. Can you save me money?
Just like that.
Yeah. They're good that way. And you say, because they want to keep you.
And
You're an annuity for them. They love you.
Of course.
You're giving them thousands of dollars a year.
I'm supporting part of their whatever it is.
Right. I mean, you're paying a lot. That seems like a very high bill for two people.
That is.
Yeah.
And I've compared that with friends, and
that's a lot. And you probably would save even more leaving Verizon, but there are reasons to stay with Verizon. They know that. They're in many areas. You're in the Southern California. They're probably the best signal in Southern California of all the phone companies. So.
Well, the interesting thing about that is they are very good, but the phone doesn't work worth a darn at my house.
What a world we live in. Hey, you know what? What are we to complain? You can walk down the street and be on the internet, be talking on the phone. It's pretty amazing. This technology is fairly amazing. So I shouldn't look a gift phone in the mouth, but I would look. I'll give you an example. T-Mobile has a web-only deal. It includes only 100 talk minutes, but as we use our phones more and more as computers and less as phones, that's maybe enough. And it's unlimited data, unlimited texting, 100 minutes of phone a month, $30.
Well, that all makes sense. No matter how much money we have or how much technology we have, we always want more.
Yeah. There's a great Louis C.K. bit. Hey, thank you, Alan. I really appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Often, if you go to these guys and you say, I'm seeing T-Mobile's charging $70. I have a T-Mobile plan, $70 a month for unlimited everything, minutes, text, data, everything. And I said, you're going to throttle me after 5 gigs, right? He said, no, we don't throttle, unlimited. Now, admittedly, T-Mobile has to be good in your area, but you could go to the Verizon guy, say, hey, I see this $70 plan at T-Mobile. This is tempting to me. I'm ready to upgrade my phone. What can you do for me? And a lot of times, if the threat is I'm going to leave you, there is competition. Oh, there's competition? Oh, maybe we got to change our idea. But most people don't do that. They just go, I know, I do that. Thanks to Nathan Staten, our great musical director who fires up these hits. I don't know where he gets them. He's got a heck of a collection. They're all on vinyl, ladies and gentlemen. In the back of the studio, he's got thousands of records lined up. And he just cues that up every time. He does a great job. I bet I'm teasing. I bet you Nathan doesn't even know what a record player is.
I own one.
You own one? Well, yes. I'm impressed. Maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe he does have stacks of vinyl somewhere. 8888 Ask Leo. Matt, Mooresville, North Carolina. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good afternoon, Leo.
Hey. I'm sorry, Mark, not Matt. I apologize. Hi, Mark.
I have my son here on speakerphone as well. We're calling because my son is 14, just acquired a new drum set, and he's doing YouTube recordings and wants to escalate his recordings to the next level. And
Wait a minute. Did the grandparents give him the drum set?
That contributed to the funding.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's the kind of thing the parent usually does not give a 14-year-old unless you've got a soundproof garage. Wow, you're a very open-minded guy. Is he a good drummer?
Outstanding.
That's awesome. And he wants to post videos of him drumming, or what does he want to put up on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube there are a lot of kids teenagers that do drum covers. Showing them playing drums with the audio playing in the background. And he wants to carry this. He wants to do this himself, but isn't sure how to do it outside of an iPhone.
An iPhone's probably how a lot of these kids are doing it. Certainly, if you have do you have a point-and-shoot camera of any kind?
No, we don't.
All right, that would be another good choice. You could go out and get an inexpensive Canon, just a point-and-shoot, little one. The S100 or S95. The video on these is spectacular. It's as good as the camcorder you bought for $1,000 5 years ago. Better. It's HD.
He wants the audio. He wants to ensure.
Okay, you're right. He needs audio, doesn't he? So that gets a little more complicated. Drums are loud. You might have noticed that. And they're tough on microphones because they're impactful, especially the kick drum, the bass drum. So, in fact, a lot of times you'll notice if you look carefully at a band, the way they mic the drums, they have a different special mic for the bass that's right there. The snares have their own little, usually directional shotgun mics pointed at them. Miking a drum kit is non-trivial. However, this is YouTube after all. We're not making, you know, Miles Davis part 2 here. We're just going to and actually, ironically, Miles Davis, the early Miles Davis recordings, some of the best audio recordings ever made were usually made with 1 mic or 2 mics. They were not made with a very elaborate mic setup. That's actually pretty complicated. So a good mic in the drum area of the drum, not right next to it, but in the area of the drum is probably sufficient. So what you now want to get is a camera that has a mic input. And a lot of cameras do. They have a little little mini jack that you can attach a breakout box to and then attach a quality mic to. How much money, Dad, are you willing to spend on this?
Well, he's invested $700 into the drum set.
Oh, he bought it. Good for him. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I would say I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look and see which point-and-shoot cameras have external mic jacks. You could probably do a search on dpreview.com. DP stands for digital photography. dpreview.com. They let you narrow it down to by feature, including mic jack is the feature you want. Then you're going to get a BeachTek, BeachTek adapter. That gives you a mini jack out, but it lets you use quality microphones in. And then the BeachTek itself is a little over $100. And then you're going to get a Shure, S-H-U-R-E, SM58 microphone. That's about $125, $150. These are not super expensive high-end gear, but the Shure SM58 is a tough, dynamic mic that will handle drums pretty well. Don't put it right next to the drum, maybe 5 feet away. You'll have to play with positioning to see, you know, you want to get the snares, you want to get the kick, you want to get the whole thing, and so there'll be an ideal position for that. You're not going to want or get stereo, really. The single mic's fine, although these BeachTeks do have left and right sometimes, so you can do stereo. So I think with a BeachTek, a Shure SM58, we'll put this in the show notes, by the way, and a Canon point-and-shoot, something with a mic jack, and I'll look later and see if I can find one. We'll put that in the show notes. You should be able to do a very credible job, actually. Think about lighting, too, and they don't have to be fancy studio lights. You go down to the hardware store and get some utility lights, maybe put some colored cloth over it, make sure it's not touching the light bulb so it doesn't catch on fire. But you put a blue cloth over it, and suddenly you have a beautiful blue light. Put a red cloth over it, you have a beautiful red light. And you're diffusing it so it's soft. And you can really make it look quite good. And I noticed that people do that. I'm looking at some of the drum covers, and they really, some of them do put a lot of effort into lighting and making it look good.
Outstanding.
Hey, that's a great thing to encourage your 14-year-old, I think.
He's smiling real big.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Yeah. By the way, the chat room's saying don't get an SM58, get an SM57. It's better for instruments. And that's absolutely right. SM57. Hey, good luck. I'll look for his. What do you know? What his YouTube channel is going to be?
Well, the band he plays in is called Liberation, and he's got a couple guitarists named Mikey and Alex that play in there as well.
All right. So look for YouTube videos from Liberation with Mikey and Alex.
That's it.
Hey, it's great. You got a budding, I don't know, what's Lars Ulrich? I don't know, Patrick Wilson? You got a budding rock star there. Chat room's going crazy with all sorts of suggestions about miking that drum kit, and sure, there's a lot of ways to do it. And I think starting with one mic's fine. And as time goes by, the band makes a little money. You know, they spend a little more money and improve their gear. That's how it works, isn't it? Jeff, Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Leo, I have a question for you. So I have about a 3,000 square foot house in California, and we bought the Apple Airport Extreme and the Expresses and kind of spread them out around the house.
Yeah, the Expresses are good for extenders, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I read online where you want to start at one end of the house and have channel 1, and you jump to channel 6, and then you jump to channel 11, then you start all over again, so that when you move around the house, everything hands off evenly. But the problem
No, they all have to be on the same channel. I never heard of that. That would only be if each would have its own internet connection. If you have one internet connection and your main access point, your Airport Extreme, is attached to that, everything else is in bridging mode. That's all the Airport Expresses, and they'll all be on the same channel because otherwise they wouldn't be able to talk to one another. Best thing to do is let the airports choose the channel. They will choose it based on congestion. They're pretty good at that.
So this is probably why when I'm talking on my VoIP or my Skype, then I move around the house, I'd lose the connection.
Yeah, because you're on a new channel.
Okay, great. Well, that explains
You're
why.
making it overcomplicated. It's very simple. What you're doing is called WDS. Apple. It's good if you use gear from the same company. They'll have the same chipset. They'll interoperate well together. I use the same setup. We have one Airport Extreme. That's the main unit. That's the one connected to the cable modem or the DSL modem. And then Airport Expresses, they're nice. You just plug them into the wall. You don't have to do anything with them. You just plug them into a plug. And then all you do when you configure the Airport Express, Apple's software says you want to extend a network. And it says, and you say, yes, don't do anything else. Don't change the channels. Just leave it there. Hey, thanks for joining me. Thanks very much, Kim Schaffer, for filling in for Heather. We'll see you all next week. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.